Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Northern Lights, Canadian Women in Tech and Business, where we highlight the incredible journeys of inspiring women who are shaping the future of technology and business in Canada. Today, we have the honor of speaking with another trailblazer, Dr. Anna Goldberg. Dr. Goldberg earned her PhD in machine learning from Carnegie Mellon University and completed her postdoctoral training at the Penn Centre for Bioinformatics and the Donnelly Centre. She holds the position of the first Varma Family Chair in Biomedical Informatics and AI at the Hospital for Sick Children SickKids Research Institute, where she also co-leads the AI and Medicine for Kids initiative. She's the Canadian Institute for Advanced Research AI Chair and a fellow in their Child and Brain Development Group. Additionally, she co-leads the research theme at the Temerty Centre for AI Research and Education in Medicine, driving innovation in AI for medical research. Her lab focuses on developing machine learning methods for clinical applications across various diseases and conditions, as well as quantifying variability in healthy states among individuals and populations using wearable technology.
I guess for completeness,
Sorry?
For completeness, I should mention that I'm also a professor in the departments of computer science and laboratory medicine and pathobiology at U of T.
Oh my God, that's perfect. Yeah, thank you for adding that. As the concentration director for the Master of Science in Applied Computing, AI, and Healthcare, she is responsible for developing and leading top-tier educational programs in computational medicine and computational biology. She fosters collaborations with relevant departments, the Vector Institute for AI, and at T-CAIREM in her educational role within LMP. Dr. Goldberg, thank you for joining me today.
My pleasure. Thank you for this illustrious introduction. I forget how many hats I wear.
You're incredible, and I'm so excited to talk to you today. So maybe just starting off, can you tell us a bit about your journey into the field of machine learning and what inspired you to pursue a PhD in this area at Carnegie Mellon University?
I think it started in my undergrad, where I was doing pursuing a Bachelor of Engineering at the University of Louisville in Kentucky. That's where we immigrated. And two things happened. Well, actually, three things. One, first, I started working in an IT department, and I realized that the fun part of it was not necessarily building applications, but analyzing the data. And I just couldn't understand why people were not doing more of it, like the data analysis and how to optimize processes. It seemed so fun. So that was like after the second year of undergrad. And then I got engaged in research at U of L on actually using deep learning, and this was 98. So that's when I got my introduction to deep learning. Back then, neural networks at that point. And it was fascinating to me, and I really loved all the work that we were doing and really enjoyed it. So after I graduated with my bachelor, I'm like, I have to do more of this. So I started looking for actually data science programs. There weren't any AI programs back then. There were like computer science departments. I thought my passion really is about data and analysis, and so I went into this program that was open for the first year at CMU at Carnegie Mellon, a master's program in data mining. It was called back then in 2000, and it blew my mind. I loved the people. I loved the ability to create methodology. This was the first time that I was doing that, and that just seemed to really be empowering and enabling and exciting. And I did that program, the master's program, basically in a year.
Wow.
And my master's thesis at that time, so I graduated in September 2001, and my research was on anthrax and predicting anthrax outbreaks. And this happened right after 9/11, like a
Oh,
week.
wow.
My defense was a week after. And that's when the envelopes started being sent.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I just, the potential of research and what we were doing. And I don't know why I was put on that project. I was a master's student. This was offered. This was a really fun project to be on. And of course, I was working on it way before 9/11 or anything like that happened, right? So it was a very theoretical work, but it became so relevant when it was done, when I completed that work, that I realized that this is my passion. This is exactly what I want to do, and I just want to learn more of the methodology and to be able to create more, to apply to interesting world problems. So and to solve really interesting world problems. And so that's sort of the beginning of that journey.
Yeah, that's incredible. And, it seems like you've had such an amazing journey, going to Carnegie Mellon University. It seems like such an incredible university. And, I'm really curious to know what were some of the key experiences and learnings during your postdoctoral training at the Penn Centre for Bioinformatics and the Donnelly Centre?
So that's a very good question, because by the end of my PhD, so my PhD was at Carnegie Mellon was on modeling social networks. So it was really in a sort of graphical models world, but the application of it was to social networks. And I felt like there isn't a really scientific discovery that I was making at the time with the tools that I was building. And for a postdoc, I was offered and proposed to, delve into the computational biology area. And I knew nothing about it. And I thought, okay, there is a potential for scientific discovery here. And this is probably a unique opportunity to switch areas of application to not just do the method development, but do method development for discovery of biological processes and understanding of biology. So I went into that field, and that's where I was. And at Penn, I was part of two labs, and one of them was a biology lab, and one of them was a computer science lab. And I have to say, I learned a lot. It was actually very difficult because I've switched fields. I learned biology before that only in high school in a different language. So it was a very, the immersion was kind of like a cold plunge. And it's very hard to go into a new area where you know nothing, and you are sort of discovering, but everything is like the field in front of you is completely dark, and you are just sort of highlighting the different areas, but it's really hard to know how everything fits together. And so it took time to understand what problems are important, what are the problems that I want to work on, what is out there, and I've tried several different problems. So it was a time for me of exploration. And by the time I got to U of T, working at the Donnelly Centre, so I stayed at UPenn for a year, and at Donnelly I worked on really just fascinating molecular biology problems, and realizing how much we depend on the data and what data is collected, and knowing that I'm sort of a, like what they say, data parasites. I mean it in a good way, that I really am dependent on what data is given to me for modeling to be able to uncover something or not, right? That data might not contain the signal. So I think it's It was a time of exploration. It was a time of sort of solidifying the fact that, yes, this is a very interesting area. Yes, we depend on data. I have to be very thoughtful about maybe generating my own biological hypothesis. And at that point, I really could start generating my own biological hypothesis. So that was very empowering.
Mhm.
And so after the postdoctoral training at U of T, I really felt like I want to become the professor in this area, in computational biology and later computational medicine.
Mhm. That's incredible. And, it's great to see your passion, keep on continuing even through your exploration. So you hold the distinguished position of the first Varma Family Chair in Biomedical Informatics and as well as AI at SickKids Research Institute. What does this role entail and what are your primary responsibilities? I know you must
I
have
think
many.
I think being a chair is as I feel that it's an honor and recognition of the AI work that I do in the computational medicine and healthcare space
Mhm.
right now. I don't feel it so much as a responsibility, but as an encouragement to continue the impactful work that we are engaging in my lab, and to bring AI to healthcare. What does it mean? What
Mhm.
are all the questions that we need to address to do it in a responsible and safe way? What are the questions to do it in the most efficient way? How can a clinician start working with it? It's been a fascinating journey of uh, how much other knowledge and how broad, um, should the solution be to encompass um, maybe human-computer interaction and the systems questions, like so much more of computer science, to be able to build a solution that the ultimate user, the clinician, or even maybe the patient at some point will be able
Mhm.
to interact with in a way that's truly beneficial to them.
Right. Yeah. And, I know I'm asking you to do a lot of explaining here, but can you kind of explain the AI in Medicine for Kids initiative that you co-lead and what are the goals and current projects of this initiative?
So the initial reason for establishing the initiative was, again, the recognition of the potential of AI for healthcare, and knowing that we have collected so much data in healthcare, in hospitals, and at SickKids in particular, and that we are not necessarily yet taking advantage of that data. And can we, with the help of AI, really unleash the potential of what we already know, which is stored in that data? So the current goal of AI in medicine, which is really transforming into AI services at SickKids, is to be able to generate AI for healthcare for the help of either operations at SickKids or diagnosis, prognosis. There are many, many questions that could be addressed to have to take advantage and to bring these tidbits that are already stored in the data but are not currently being explored to the clinician to make
Mhm.
better informed decisions, to keep evolving the field of healthcare and medicine for children through the co-evolution, really, and co-creation of AI and the clinical services.
Great. You're really explaining things really well and, congratulations on all your success again. I mean, it's really incredible. Um, so as a Canadian Institute for Advanced Research AI chair and a fellow in the Child and Brain Development Group, what are some of your key research areas that you're focusing on?
So CIFAR, the Canadian Institute for Advanced Research, is a very powerful organization that enables really true groundbreaking research.
Mhm.
The same way as my Varma chair is enabling me at SickKids to create AI for healthcare for children, the same way that CIFAR takes and supports researchers in creating and generating AI for, in my case, global good, but in a sort of healthcare and understanding domain, uncovering fundamental questions about humanity. So in a way, the CIFAR AI Chair, again, is an honor and a recognition of what I have done. My membership in child and brain development is something that truly expands my mind every time. So that group is a collection of outstanding researchers across a variety of fields and domains. So these are sociologists and epidemiologists and psychologists and anthropologists. And there is a big group of people with very diverse background trying to understand child brain and development. And so neuroscientists that we have, from I guess the micro to macro scale. We have people who are experts in all these different scales and trying to understand the child development. And for me, this has been truly facilitating my expansion as a researcher. I felt that I grow as a researcher, as a scientist, every time I collaborate and every time I engage with a group, with a child and brain development group, because I learn so much from every single meeting with them. So it's really an honor to be a part of that community, and it sets my direction in a sort of taking me out of the very concrete questions and back into the big picture of child development from, not necessarily disease, but the health perspective, right? And how does it all fit all together? And how does the young mind evolve? What does it need? How do we measure that? Are there, creative ways to engage with the population, child population and adolescents, to be able to understand what's going on and to be able to infer and expand our understanding of what happens. So that really is, again, a tremendous honor for me to have been a part of this group for several years now. And it informs me in my research. So in my research at SickKids and U of T, right now I'm focusing a lot on modeling sort of streaming signal and the signal such as time series data. And for example, physiological signals such as heart rate and blood pressure and ICU, but also wearable devices, right? We have so much life outside of the hospital, and we come to the hospital, to a doctor, and we say, oh, this hurts, right? What insight do they have into what happened and led to this state of ours that we are presenting with? Very little to none, right? But we are all wearing these wearable devices. I've been seeing around me over the last months, people are wearing the Oura Ring more and more and more, right? It measures sleep. And we've been doing research with the Oura Ring for the last 5-6 years to try to understand how is sleep affected by some of the events, and how does sleep affect the incoming events, and trying to maybe extract some useful information for stresses in our life that lead to potentially deterioration and disease. So this has been, I think my passion comes across because these questions, they are they're really about us, right? They're really about us and life. And from the machine learning perspective, from the AI perspective, these are not easy questions to answer, because even though a lot of tools and models have been developed thus far, this data is very, very tricky to work with. And in the time series space, there hasn't been as much development, let's say, in the imaging space. So we are creating new methodology to be able to address this question. So it's exciting to me both as an AI researcher, just in general, in creating this new methodology, which is direly needed in this field, but also what it can help me to accomplish, what kind of insights it can lead me to.
Yeah. Awesome. And that's really cool that you bring up the Aura Ring because my dad actually uses it and it's quite incredible the amount of data that it gives you.
Yeah, and the question is, okay, so you know a lot about your sleep patterns now, but how can we turn that into a clinical insight, something you can bring back to your clinician and say, because if you show all of this data to the clinician, it's too much, and there isn't really a training on how to process all that data, and you just need a little snippets of what could be useful for them to make a better informed decision for the care
Hmm.
for their patients, and that I think is something that I'm really interested in, bridging that gap of having a lot of noisy data and digesting it in a way that is actionable.
Right. That's amazing. And I think this actually leads great into my next question, which is also talking about some of the innovations. So you co-lead the research theme at the Temerty Centre for AI Research and Education in Medicine. Can you share some of those innovations and breakthroughs coming out of this center?
So T-CAIREM, right, is what you're
Yeah.
asking about.
Yeah.
Um, T-CAIREM is a great initiative started out of the Faculty of Medicine with the help of the Temerty family. And that allows me a completely different, actually, set of ways to enable my colleague researchers. So
Hmm.
one, I'm co-leading the research arm of T-CAIREM. And in that capacity, I'm able to create grants and enable completely groundbreaking ideas,
Hmm.
right? It's very hard to, in our environment, to get funding for things that are very high risk, right?
Right.
We see them as high risk, high reward. Because we are a collection of people who are in this field and understand it very deeply, we can see and evaluate some of the ideas as saying, oh my God, this is the next thing that will really have the potential to transform healthcare, or saying, this is a new tool that will be super helpful and informative in the clinic.
Right.
And bringing and enabling that in as an organization. I never really had that role in the past before, and I find it extremely rewarding to be able to enable my community, my colleagues, to generate that groundbreaking research, to know that they will be supported in that. I mean, we are constantly looking for more funding to be able to support more researchers in that space, because very often we have a competition, a granting competition, and there are several ideas that are just amazing and transformational and fundamental, and we can only fund one or two.
Hmm. Right. Right.
So, so that has been the hardest part of that position.
Yeah, funding is a big part of, what you do. So I can understand that. Um,
Yeah.
and we only have a few more questions, but I think it would be great for the listeners to hear more about your key responsibilities as the concentration director for the Master of Science in Applied Computing, AI, and Healthcare, and what to you makes this program so unique.
So this program came out of a need, and students coming to me and really crafting their own path in AI and healthcare,
Hmm.
because this program didn't exist, and the people with a specific interest in developing AI for healthcare, um, we had to sort of every time design a bespoke path of education to get them to the level where they feel comfortable to contribute to this area and this field. And it's been years. It's
Hmm.
been years of crafting these bespoke paths. And now that AI is much more broadly accepted and is looking like we are going to see a lot more implementation, it became very obvious that we need a highly skilled workforce, a
Right.
highly skilled set of individuals that can enable this transformation.
Mhm.
And this, so I felt that, but also the chairs of computer science and laboratory medicine and pathobiology felt that. And so we sort of came together, and it came very natural sequence of events that led to this program, because the need is palpable. The
Mhm.
need for the workforce in AI and healthcare is palpable, and there's so many courses, in AI, and there's so many certificates in AI, and we felt that it requires really two very solid expertise, one in computer science and one in medicine, and that we needed to combine them to create a really rigorous program, so that the people who come out of this program are really top-notch, really high standards that will enable this transformation. We are really graduating leaders in this field, and
Mhm.
so we put together this program to to acquire the core competencies that I have observed over many years are really needed in this field, including it's not just AI, it's AI and data science and medicine, and also either systems or human-computer interaction as they see fit. And these are
Mhm.
the core competencies in a group. And then they have an opportunity to have an internship where they can really test the skills that they have acquired and keep learning and applying it more. So at the end of this program is we and our graduates are really confident in their ability to make that transformation. And I want to say that this is not just a program, a key really reason why we were able to establish it in such an expedient manner is the whole program in Masters in Applied Computing in the Computer Science Department. That program has been successful for years, and it's created many sort of joint programs between different departments, and they specifically Arvind Gupta, but the team have been really truly instrumental in making sure that we can establish it and set it and get it going within a year.
Mhm.
Within a year.
Wow.
So yeah, last year we got it approved in May, and in September we already had 4 students. So this was our first cohort. We didn't have a chance to advertise it, and I still got a few students in. This year we had about 170 applicants, as it
Wow.
was open broadly. Yes, and we accepted maybe about 13. So
Oh my
this
God.
is really a revolution that needs to happen in healthcare. And
Yeah.
I feel this program will allow us to scale it at the highest level of standards to make it happen.
Yeah. Yeah. You raised some really good points there. And, this next question is also talking a bit about the revolution you just mentioned and a bit about the future. So you focus on quantifying variability in healthy states using wearable technology. How do you see this wearable technology transforming healthcare? And what are some of the challenges you encounter?
I think one of the biggest challenges remains to be data.
Mhm.
Sometimes it's access to data, but I feel like we've moved the needle on that one quite a bit. And especially at SickKids, it's been much easier. We have now shifted more into, okay, what are the pathways of establishing the approvals? How do we run it? How do we monitor it? What are the pitfalls? How do we establish this? And there are several hospitals like St. Mike's that it's sort of further along in implementing it in healthcare. But I find that right now there are no necessarily blocks to enabling AI in healthcare. I think what's happening right now is the learning. It's a
Right.
curve of learning of how do we make that change.
Mhm.
Because the support from SickKids, hospitals unanimous that we want to make it happen. And there are a lot of people who are trying and helping to make it happen. But because it has not happened before, and yes, technology has been implemented, but there are so many nuances about AI, right? For example, we will be updating our models all the time, potentially, right? In some cases, especially during COVID, it became clear that there's no stationarity in the data. So we might have to retrain the models or update the models quite frequently. And this is not something that has been previously approved necessarily, right? What are the approval protocols for using and monitoring something like this? What are the protocols for working with something you don't necessarily understand, right? And we can learn from, let's say, an imaging area where they have been using complex machines for a long time to take various modalities of imaging for the patients. But there are so many questions that keep coming up, and I feel that it's taking time. It's taking time to materialize, but in some sense, we need that time. In some sense, we need that time because we are learning, because we want to do the right thing, right? It's a high-risk area, healthcare. We cannot afford to make many mistakes. We want, there's no question that AI has a huge potential to help to move healthcare to this new transformational phase it will be in. But there's so many ways to fall apart, to damage. And so navigating that and making sure that we reduce the risk while we are making it really, bringing that efficiency to healthcare, I think, and collaborating and making sure that the doctors don't feel burdened by all this newness and all these tools that can potentially be created to help them. But if they're overwhelmed and burned out, this is not going to help healthcare in the end. And so all of this takes time to establish and understand. And I feel like we're on a really good path to making it happen in the right way.
Yeah.
So that's where I see that we are in now. I think ultimately we really want to go to prevention, right? We really don't want people to deteriorate to the point of they needing emergency care, hospital so much as we do now.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, please go ahead.
No, yeah. I just want to say, I really agree with you because AI can definitely be such a great way to the future, and I'm sure it will be, but there's definitely lots of risks, especially in healthcare. So I definitely think that that's a really great point that you raised. And kind of switching gears here, I'm really curious to know what advice would you give to young women and aspiring researchers looking to make a mark in the fields of biomedical informatics as well as AI? And are there any particular challenges you face that you think they should be prepared for? I think you might have touched on that last part a little bit before, but
I think the one advice that I give always is don't ask yourself if you're good enough to contribute.
right.
It's the wrong question to ask. Ask yourself, is this something that drives you? Is this something you are passionate about? Is this something that you are really curious and want to spend your time working on? And if it is, go for it. Really, because we need passionate people who are able to solve complex problems. And this passion, it takes you far. It really takes you far. When we are really invested in what we are working on, we are willing to go an extra mile to learn, to understand, to spend more time. At CMU, I remember countless nights that I stayed up working, trying to understand something, trying to make progress. And it wasn't because of the meeting the next day, but it was something that I really was invested in, like something I really cared about. And I think that especially I have noticed in women that we seem to take ourselves out of the equation ourselves. We seem to want to sort of say, well, this seems hard, I don't know if I can do it. Wrong question to ask. Never ask if you can do it. You will not know. We cannot be objective about this. You cannot know unless you try. And if you go down that rabbit hole of insecurity, of course you won't be able to do it, right? Because you sort of create your own reality. And I have found that once I started asking myself, is this something really cool that I want to learn? Is this something that I would love to contribute to? I would love to understand. And I don't know how to work on it. And I still know so much less than I feel like I should know. And it's okay. You get into this field and you talk to luminaries, people I have tremendous admiration for. And I talk to them and they feel the same. They feel like they don't know, and they feel like they could be better, and and it's okay. That's what drives some of us forward. And if that's to happen. But really the intention of following the curiosity, following your passion, saying, this is something that I can contribute to. This is something I would love to contribute to, is the right place to be. And I suggest there's absolutely no reason why there are so few women in AI from the perspective of skill, talent, potential. There are stigmas. There are stories of the past. We need to shed those. We need to come through for ourselves and the field to be able to. The teams that have many people of different kinds, different ideas, are so much more productive and creative and drive each other forward. We need to create these teams. We need to be part of these teams, right? And that I strongly encourage women and everybody, but in particular, to consider this field to contribute, right? Because I am a passionate computer scientist. I faint when I see blood. So my contributing to healthcare had to be technical, right? It had to be. I never wanted to be a doctor because it creeps me out. But I love working with clinicians and doctors, to co-create, to co-create new ways and pathways of healthcare.
Yeah, thank you so much for that piece of advice. And I really agree with you because you really have to love what you do in order to take it far and be secure and confident in it.
And trust yourself that love is real and that you can follow it, and it's okay. And don't tell yourself I cannot do it. If others tell you, maybe you can doubt them, right? You can look at the facts, right? You are able to create things and follow your passion.
Definitely. Thank you so much. I have two more questions for you. And I also believed you talked a little bit about this previously, but what do you envision for the future of AI in medicine, especially in pediatric care? And how do you think researchers and practitioners can contribute to this vision?
I think so first of all, I think if we think that we can imagine what's going to happen in 5 to 10 years, we're not thinking big enough, because the speed of evolution here is happening. Is the rate of evolution is much faster than any of us could have imagined, and it doesn't really happen in a sort of gradual way. It happens in skips and jumps. So we didn't know before that large language models would have been so big and are enveloping healthcare and making a huge difference in healthcare. So what I'm thinking is what I would love to see is this information about what's happening outside of the healthcare setting, outside of clinicians and doctors, being brought to the clinicians so that the decisions can be more informed. I would love for our healthcare to change in a way that is more holistic. We are systems. We are not just, liver or, like it's very marginalized right now and very siloed, the treatment and the specializations of people. I would love AI to contribute to some change in healthcare where we are treated more holistically earlier on, so that we don't see deterioration of particular systems, because it's an organism and it changes everything. And when we treat one thing, we are affecting another. So having AI move the needle on that in the next 5 to 10 years, I think would be really transformational. Another potential change that I would like to see is engaging the patients in a way that really changes their relation to their own health. And I started seeing that happen. We had a phenomenal project coming from nursing and in pain, where there was a gamified system to help kids to take medications, all the medications that they needed to have to manage their pain. And there were badges and all the things. And it was really, really fun game. And I looked at the engagement and really following the treatment. And there was a marked difference in how engaged people were when they had an opportunity to play with these games. And so I would really love more of that, much more of that in our healthcare, so that kids can be engaged in a way that they would love to be engaged, right?
Yeah.
In their own management of their care. So I think there's a lot of potential. I'm hoping that the most remarkable things I can't even imagine yet, but we are definitely working in a direction to make that happen.
Yeah, it's just the beginning, and I'm really excited to see how AI is going to change medicine and honestly the whole world, and what amazing things you continue to do. And I have one last question for you, and I actually really like this question because everyone has a different answer to it. But what legacy do you hope to leave in the world of medicine, and how do you want to be remembered?
I would love to be known as a person who really deeply cares for rigorous systems, things that are robust and are considering the needs of the healthcare, and are making a difference in the space where those needs are. And I have recently realized that one of the biggest areas that we don't necessarily work in research is operations at the hospital, right? How do patients not have to wait for so long, and how do we make it happen? And so that is something that I personally focus on. You don't do things because you want to be remembered a certain way, but these are the things that are important to me, really important to think through potential faults, to think through potential risks, but to keep creating systems that sort of overcome that and make it explicit, make it directly available and known, and to bring the latest AI to change the healthcare, to transform healthcare. And all of my knowledge and all of the collaborative work that I'm doing is really targeted towards that.
Right. That's a wonderful answer. And I really just wanted to thank you so much for joining me today, Dr. Goldberg. Your insights into the transformative role of AI in pediatric healthcare have been really enlightening, and I really appreciate you sharing your groundbreaking work and all the incredible advancements you're making at SickKids. So thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.